is UK Grim. Keep that desk area tidy. Put it in the bin. This is UK Grim. This is UK Grim. Keep that desk area tidy. Put it in the bin. This is UK Grim.
Wigan. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello?
Malcolm.
Hello, I'm alive now, right now.
Are you alive?
No, I'm going out live on LBC. Is that the situation?
That is the situation we find ourselves in, Malcolm, yes.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, I was going to talk a bit about the media coverage of Ukraine. I mean, it's been, to my mind, it's been almost... Here's a difficult word. Hagiographical. Am I getting that word right?
I have no idea, Malcolm. I've never heard anybody attempt it. What does it mean?
It means like a saint. Hagiography is when you describe the life of a saint.
Right.
And
Can I recommend that you don't use words in an argument that people won't be able to understand unless they look it up in a dictionary?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm giving you both words. I mean, the way that, as I describe him, the court jester of Ukraine as being treated in the media, you'd think he was a complete saint.
Right. The court jester, you're talking about the leader of Ukraine?
Yeah, because he's a former TV comedian, hence he has that other nickname, the court jester of Ukraine.
Right, see, well, we had one of those ourselves.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And I know which one I'm more impressed with.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, getting to the point. The point is that I've just picked up from Al Jazeera, I was watching it, that there's been demonstrators today calling for, it's very briefly, some demonstrators even called for Ukraine not to be supplied with arms. And then you see a picture flashing up of some demonstrators in London with CND signs on.
Yeah.
This was not covered by the BBC at all. I mean, what kind of bias is this? We're being constantly told that everyone in the country is like a supporter of the court jester, or many of us are.
You mean
there's rather a lot of us who aren't.
You mean Vladimir Zelensky?
Yes, yeah. As it's currently pronounced, depending on how good your language skills are in Russian and Ukrainian.
Well, Malcolm, we've established that your language skills aren't that good in English. So
they're pretty good, yes.
I'm not sure. What was that word you tried on me again?
Hagiographical.
Right, okay.
Anyway, that's by the by. I mean, the point is that... another thing that strikes me about the court jester is he's unusual. He's unusual in that, unlike most politicians, he seems to be incapable of getting a shave.
Right. He's actually directing a war at the moment, Malcolm. You're more concerned about the state of his facial hair. That seems a bit weird. It also seems like a bit... You're a bit trollish, Malcolm. You appear to be a troll to me. Back under your bridge, troll. Harrow. Jonathan. Harrow.
Good evening, Nick.
Yes, sir.
So, this country now is just teetering on the disaster.
Yes.
I don't want to present myself in a bad light.
But
I voted for I was telling the boy, I voted for the Brexit.
Did you just call my glamorous assistant the boy?
He's good. He's nice though, because some of the other ones, they always shout at me to speak into the phone. But he's
exactly.
nice.
I can't hear a word you're saying. Speak up.
Can you hear me?
No.
Okay, so the point is, I voted for the Brexit in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then I voted for the Conservative Party 2 times.
Right.
And now I know you're not pleased with me saying this, but because the newspapers did a lot of anti-carbon propaganda.
Yes.
But I don't know if you're scared now to speak up on the behalf of him, because I wake up sometimes thinking of him.
Who, Jezza Corbyn?
Yeah, because you as a fan.
I'm a fan.
But are you scared to say this now? Because I think I was conned.
Well, yes, you were conned. I'm not a fan of Jeremy Corbyn. I just think that this country would not be in the state that it's in if Jeremy Corbyn had beaten Bodger Johnson to the tape. It's inconceivable that would be the case.
But this means you're a fan of his. You like him.
No, I'm not a fan. I'm just less of a supporter of the person that beat him. Which, by the way, were the small handful of billionaire, offshore, foreign resident media barons who levelled their guns at Jeremy Corbyn the moment he said that he would look into the ownership of a large number of news titles in the hands of a very few number of people. The moment that he said that out loud, they levelled their guns at him and kept pounding until they got rid of him.
So someone who talk about the media also, and I don't want to mention his name, but I think the Prince Harry, his book, I bought it from the Smiths.
Now, you don't want to mention Prince Harry's name. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Right, you don't want to mention him by name. Prince Harry, you say. Go on.
And I bought his book, and I also resubscribed to Netflix to see the documentary. Now, I think him and his wife are very wokey. And it's true. They are.
Yeah. Oh, the wokey cokey. Yes.
And this country now, you might disagree with me on this, but this country is being suffocated by the as I said, the wokey cokies. You can't even go to the office pub lunch or the Christmas dinner because you have to be so careful in what you're saying.
You're not allowed to say Christmas out loud because it's offensive now? Is that what you're saying?
No, not this.
Is this the war on Christmas?
No. I do not have a sexist bone in my body.
I'm not sure what that has to do with what I just said, but go ahead.
No, because you're talking about the political correctness. But
no, you are.
I do not have a racist bone in my body.
You don't have an ass's bone in your body?
No, racist.
Oh, racist, right.
I
thought asses. That made more sense to me.
Come on. I'm being serious. Right. I do not have. In fact, I'm ethnic minority myself, so I can't be a racist. Yeah. I'm ethnic minority myself, so I can't be a racist.
That's completely untrue, and you know it. But go on.
And I was even as an ethnic minority myself, I was in the part of London today, and I thought there's so much immigration that it leads to the discombobulated uncle. You call him Uncle Nicholas, but Farage used to say it is not racist to talk about the immigration. Now, I will tell you this much, Nick. I'm not a tickle.
Nigel Farage used to say a lot of things.
The arguments that UKIP stands for aren't valid.
He used to say that. He used to say...
We should have a second referendum.
You'd have to be out of your mind to want a second referendum, a second Brexit referendum. Who wants a second Brexit referendum?
We should have a second referendum.
He said.
I voted for the Brexit, but I'll tell you one thing, Nick. I'm not a tickle. Okay?
You're not a pickle? A pickle?
I'm not a stupid.
When you say pickle, do you mean like a gherkin?
No, tickle.
Tickle, as in tummies?
Stupid. THICKO.
Say it again. Spell it again.
I can't do it. Now, listen to me. I think the wokies, the feminists, all of this...
they're the problem. Yeah, I understand.
Now, do you think I'm a stupid?
I've thought a lot of things during the course of the last, seems like hours I've been talking to you, Jonathan.
Do you think I'm a tickle? Last point, if I can make it. You cannot even say that the people who have led to this country's downfall are the people like the M&M, because they introduced the swearing. Now the young girls and the kiddies swear. They all are the promiscuous. It's true.
M&M is the person that's ruined this country. Did you just say that? Not the sweets. We're talking about the hippity hip hopper.
You can't say that the 50 Cent, the M&M. This is the problem because this country has got now morals nowadays. No. People, you should have to go into the restaurant and so that you're the married.
Yeah. It's Elvis. That's right. It's Elvis's fault. I understand.
Do you think I'm stupid?
Yes. You keep asking me that question over and over again, Jonathan. If you keep asking me, eventually you're going to hear the word yes. Yes, I do. I definitely do. Is that satisfactory for you?
And just the final thing is Prince Harry has been taken by the Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle has polluted the Harry. He's an adolescent. He's a young boy.
No, he isn't. He's a fully grown man. He's 30-something year old. And he is perfectly at liberty to decide on the course of his own life rather than to live his life to the script that has been written for him by persons unknown. But it is instructional to know that you voted Conservative twice there, Jonathan, and for Brexit. I wonder how that's going for you.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, I expect it is, yeah. All right, thanks for that, mate, whatever that was. It's Eminem's fault. Yeah, thanks a lot, Eminem. No! You see what you've done? Raynham. Hello, William.
Hello, Nick.
William.
Thanks for taking the call. First-time caller.
Good man.
Couple of things I want to say. First of all, could you ask your listeners, Sadiq said in his mandate that he would extend it, and that's what you're shouting out at people. Well, he said he'd extend it. You voted for him. Well, a lot of people didn't vote for him, but he did extend it to the north and south circular roads from 25th of October 2021. So he did extend it. But I don't think in the mandate, and if you could have this checked for me, that he said he would extend it to the outer London area. And it's proved from TfL when they've taken consultation on it and got the readings, that the readings are within what he wants in the extended London boroughs. So there is no need to extend it. So I'd like someone to answer that. The other thing is, Nick, I'm disabled. I'm on crutches. I've got a non-ULEZ compliant car, 73 years old. My wife's 73. How do I travel? I can't travel by train. I can't get an extension because I've got a disabled badge, but I don't claim off the government. Apparently, you've got to be claiming. So I'm not taking any money off the government because of that. I don't get an extension on the disabled badge. The other thing is, how do we get shopping? Do we go down Tesco's on a bus and 6 or 7 times in one day bring all the shopping back? How are we going to do it? There's so many people like me that are just take the car round, may take the grandchildren, may just go in to an area to visit their grandchildren or their sick relatives. A few people I know have got some family they visit. £12.50 a day. And can you answer me, Nick, why does he want to charge you £12.50 a day?
To persuade you to change your vehicle or to find some other way of moving about.
Because of what reason? Sorry, Nick, because of what reason?
Well, for the quality of the air that we breathe.
Right. So you can still drive in it and pay him £12.50? That doesn't make sense. Paying £12.50 to kill people and make people suffer with bronchial and asthma. Well, surely he would want to stop all the cars coming in.
Yes, but that would be a bit too militant a move. So he's trying to persuade people. It's like nudge theory. He's trying to make it more difficult, less advantageous to stick with your old, much more polluting car, obviously, and to persuade people to change up if they can. Well, yours isn't the first call that has suggested that this is a difficult thing for those who are disabled in some way. So perhaps that those who are, like blue badge holders, should have some sort of exemption. Would that work?
Well, the exemption for blue badge holders to extend, I think it's 4 years, to extend it, you've got to be claiming a disability allowance.
Well, maybe that should be changed. I mean, would that work for you?
You know, I'm not doing that. But can you understand that people on pensions, I mean, to buy a second-hand car now, you've got to get a car about 3 years, right? You wouldn't want 1, 5 or 6. Perhaps if that's all you can afford. But you're looking at 17 to 19,000. When I bought my Seat,
that's not true. No, you can buy a car for much cheaper than that.
3 years old.
3 years. Well, you don't need to buy a 3-year-old car.
Well, the only problem is, and I was talking to a gentleman.
Why would you need to buy a 3-year-old car? Just buy one.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because most people like myself, I've had this car. It's 2012. Mobility car, looked after, serviced. I've had this car serviced every year. Last week I had a drive shaft snap, brand new put on, starter motor last year. I know the car, it's serviced every year and it's so reliable. Now, I've now got to sell that car and buy another 6-7-year-old car or even older to bring the price down.
Yeah. Well, those cars are available. I mean, I bought a car that was 13 years old in order to comply with the ULEZ charge.
Yeah.
And it was considerably cheaper than what you've just suggested. Bromley. Hello, Joe.
Hello, mate.
Joe.
Excuse me a minute while I put you on.
Excuse me.
Hello, mate.
While I kiss the sky. Da, 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 da.
Rock and roll!
Yes?
ULEZ, mate. All day long. ULEZ.
ULEZ. Did you
How
call
about
to
that?
talk to me?
Sadiq
Hang on a minute.
Sadiq
Wait a minute. Hang on. Did you call to talk to me about the ULEZ charge?
I have now. Yeah, ULEZ. How about that? Now, is that right or is that wrong?
Is what
End
right?
of story. Are we being taken yet again? The motorist, the most caned human being on the road.
Yeah.
You know, I drove down my road today and somebody painted a Range Rover, right? So this bloke's worked all his life really hard. He wants a Range Rover. He's bought it, and somebody went, "I don't like you having that. Have some of that," and painted his car.
What colour?
Lovely, isn't it?
What colour was it?
Well, it was yellow paint, but
Right. Well,
But the bottom line-
Range
the bottom
Rover
line
can
is
look
very
attractive in yellow.
the bottom line fundamentally is very simple. Have we not lost the plot as a nation? I mean, we just hate each other now,
Yes, but
don't
that
we?
has nothing to do with you, Les, but we have lost the plot as a nation. Other nations are pointing and laughing at us. We are a joke nation now. Is that what you mean?
I do believe. I think that is what I mean. I mean, you know, we've
Well, I do
lost
believe
the
I think
plot
I
in
agree
so
with you.
many ways.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little story. My mate had a heart attack
story.
yesterday.
How long is this story?
Yeah, very quick. He waited 9 hours with a suspected heart attack. 9 hours in A&E. 9 hours, right?
Yeah.
Right. He's back home now. He's all right.
So it wasn't a heart attack?
Well, apparently you have one, or you don't have one.
Well, you said suspected, so if it wasn't a heart attack, then he was... I have been in that position myself, and I was, asked to leave for wasting their time. They didn't quite put it that way. But you are not having a heart attack, sir, so please find yourself the exit straight away, if not sooner.
Nick, can I ask you? I actually rang to talk about immigration, because...
You're all for it, don't tell me. We don't have enough of it. That's what you were going to say, Joe?
There is one thing that's fundamental. I tried this earlier and it didn't work, but there are refugees and there are people who are refugees,
and
there are people who are refugeed.
Right.
There's a big difference. There's a big difference. If you're a refugee...
refugeed is... The difference is that refugeed isn't a word.
It really is.
But it really
Think about
isn't.
it.
But I'm not going to think about it.
Can I explain it to you? Can I explain it to you?
Okay, can
if
you
are refugee,
explain it to me in the form of poetry?
Well, my mother was refugeed. She was told to leave. She had to leave. She was given no choice. She was refugeed. A refugee is somebody who decides to leave.
Yeah,
there's a big difference.
Yeah, because they fear that they might die if they don't. I know, big difference. They're just so selfish. I quite agree, Joe. Why can't people just stay where they are and die? Good point, Joe. Brighton. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you about Hancock. I think, he was in an impossible job, not a very capable man. I think the worst thing he is a fool, because he couldn't see that he was being kept in that role just to be made the scapegoat. And he was, Johnson, who I think is a lot worse than a fool, a lot more sinister than that, knew that, kept him there, and it was always his plan to pin everything on him. The worst thing that happened to him was when Hancock was caught canoodling and he had to resign, because then he lost his trump card. But I think everyone but Matt Hancock could see that he was being set up for this. And it's what's going to come to pass, and it's what's starting to happen now. And I do, even though he is an unlikable character, I do feel a little bit sorry for him, because he probably did the best he could.
Yes, well, he didn't. He was the health chief. He was the health minister, and as is often the case, people, particularly under the Conservative administration over the last few years, have been put in charge of a department that they seem wholly unsuited to run. Either that, or they are opposed to even existing. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's the case with Matt Hancock, but his medical background is unknown to me, and so he is essentially now being used as a punch bag, perhaps, for the failings.
Yeah, that's what he was kept for. But it's the same. It's the same across the whole. in Johnson's cabinet, there were people in all their roles that they didn't seem suitable for the roles they were in, but they were there for some other reason. Gavin Williamson as the Education Secretary, I mean, nobody could have done a worse job than him, but he was kept there time after time. So same with Hancock. It was, the prize, people were saying to get rid of him constantly, and the only prize you were getting was keeping him as Health Secretary, and it didn't say, well, something else is happening here. There's got to be another reason.
Right.
And to me, it was pretty obvious that the reason was going to be, there was always going to be an inquiry, and it was going to be, well, we can just pin everything on Hancock. And, it probably is how it's going to go, but so much has happened subsequently that it's probably not worked out the way they'd hoped.
Quite. Thanks, Mike. Shrewsbury, Diane.
Oh, hello.
Diane.
Hello. Yeah, honestly, I'm not advocating this as the general rule for pensioners, but I'm 71 years of age.
71 years of age?
I'm 71,
Yes.
recommend. And when they put the gas up, and I was told that I've got to spend like £75 a week on gas, I got a bit angry. So what I've done, I just completely turned my gas off and my hot water as well. And to be honest, I've never felt better. And when I go into like Sainsbury's and it's warm, I actually feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Honestly, I'm serious. It makes me feel stuffy. What I went to the shop and I bought this it's like a vest. It's not a hot water bowl because hot water bottles you have to keep like warming them up and then taking them off, putting them in either too hot or too cold.
Right.
So this thing, you just put it on like a vest and then you put like a sheet around yourself and just lovely and warm.
What, is it electric?
And the air's fresh. Pardon?
Is it electric?
Yes, it plugs in.
You're joking.
And it's not a flow. It's like you have to keep putting. It's just like a vest. You just put it on.
You've got a plug-in vest.
Yes, it's like a plug-in vest. It goes right over your chest, and it's warm and it's comfortable. It always stays the same temperature, and then it turns itself off, and then it turns itself on again.
But that means that you can't really walk around very much, or at all.
No, when I get up, I just take it off,
You
and then
unplug
when
yourself.
I sit down again,
Right.
I'll put it back on again.
Plug yourself back in again.
And I got like my letter from like Shell Energy, and they said to me like, 'cause obviously they expected me to spend a fortune. And when it comes to the water, I've just turned it off and I just wash myself down with a flannel. I've just put the kettle on and warm myself up and wash with the kettle, basically.
Right.
So I don't need the hot water either.
So have you considered?
For the moment, I'm not using any gas at all.
Have you considered a cold shower?
Not yet.
It's supposed to be very beneficial for the health.
Well, no. What I can actually do, rather than get a shower, I can get a hose pipe and I can put it into the bath and just fill it up from the tap.
Yeah, but a cold shower would be less painful an experience, I would imagine, than a cold bath, wouldn't it?
No. If I get a mixer tap, if I mix the warm water with the cold water,
Well, how do you warm? Hang on a minute. How do you warm the water? How do you warm the water?
Well, that's a good thing, actually. Well, I haven't actually come round to that yet.
But you warm the water with the gas, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh, you forgot about that, right?
Yeah, but I haven't got to worry about that yet. I can always do it with a kettle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after all, you only need one shower or bath every, year?
No, I just wash myself down with a flannel and then just rinse it off with cold water.
Right.
But the point, I'm not advocating this for all pensioners because you always get this image of like pensioners freezing and like suffering and.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have like a very cold snap, which was a bit cold.
Yes.
And I was sitting there with my vest on, but I felt perfectly well. But the thing is that when I go in after a heated place now, I actually feel uncomfortable.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, because it's superheated air, and you feel a bit all stuffed up. Yeah.
And it's stuffy. I honestly think that we're all programmed to think that
we need to be warm all the time.
We're all going to die.
Yeah.
If the temperature goes down a bit, we're all just going to be freezing. Even pensioners, they're all going to be freezing. Right. I'll tell you what, human beings, we're a lot tougher than people think we are. And when you go from hardship, you actually come out a stronger person.
Perhaps. Or colder person, anyway. At the very least.
But cold, I've spent my whole life, every winter, spending a fortune on heating.
Yes.
And now I feel a lot better. I go out better. I'm healthier for it. I just put my vest on. And actually, now it's warming up, I don't even put my vest on.
Yeah. Well, it's been a relatively
I'm happy.
easy winter so far, and that sounds like
No, but
many
we did
people's...
have a cold snap. I mean, where we are here, it was
Yeah.
like -10.
Yeah, for a little bit,
And I
but
still
we didn't have 3 months of it, though. It's been
No, we had a
relatively
couple of
easy.
weeks.
Relatively easy. Yeah.
It's been good, yeah.
Well, I think that people's eyes have been open to the possibility of not walking around in the middle of winter in a T-shirt and shorts inside with the heating full on.
Well, Shell Energy, right, 'cause I'm with Shell Energy, they sent me, like, a thing going, like, obviously they expected me to spend a fortune in
Yes.
the winter, and they sent me, you're now £400 in profit, I mean, credit,
Really?
because they didn't expect me to,
Yeah.
well, they haven't given me any money back.
Of course not. No, you've got to ask for that.
They just said you're £400 in,
Yeah.
and we're going to cut your direct debit down, like, a little bit, even though I'm not using any, I'm only using, like, the fixed thing at the moment. So, but I don't want to come on here and like advocating all pensioners to be like freezing cold and dying of hypothermia.
No, but just consider turning the heating down or off a little bit and getting one of them plug-in vests.
Get one.
Yeah.
Get one. I recommend it. It's actually better than a heated flow because that's a bit ungainly and probably uses more.
Ungainly. No, I like a heated throw because it covers the whole of your person, whereas a heated vest just covers the top part.
Yeah, but you don't need the rest of you.
Oh,
to be
yes,
really-
I do. Blooming freezing.
If you put, yeah, but what I do now, even better than that, I've got like like a hoodie, and I put the hood round, and then I hold it together at my throat, and then the heat from the heated vest goes up all around my head. Because don't forget, you lose more energy, you lose more heat from your head than any other part of your body.
Well, I'm not sure that that's actually
That's
true.
a fact.
Well, I'm not
It
sure.
is, well, I've heard that.
You've heard it, but it
That's
doesn't
what I
necessarily
heard.
mean that it's a fact, Diane. I think it's
Well-
the area around your neck that's probably got more potential.
That's what I'm
to lose.
saying.
That's
So I
not
put
what you're
that- I
saying.
put-
That's the opposite of what you were saying. You said your head. Your head ain't your neck. Yes.
Well, that area. I put put it around my throat, and the heat from the vest just goes up.
Do you ever feel that your face gets a little bit cold, a little bit chilly over your facial area?
No,
Is that a yes?
no,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah, if your face ever gets a little bit cold there, Diane, you want to wear that hoodie back to front, and by that method, you'll improve your
Then I
whole
wouldn't be able to watch the TV.
your whole
Well, I
facial
spend most
area.
Of my time,
Right.
my time watching the TV.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
And when
excellent.
you're going to have a holiday, you're always here. I never see you're the only presenter. Every time I put the thing on, it's Nick Abbott again.
Yeah. Over
And
and
then
over and
sometimes-
over.
Yeah.
I know. When will I
And
ever
then
go?
sometimes you fill in for other presenters as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So, do you ever have a holiday?
I had 2 days in Florence about 4 years ago, something like that.
I think you did.
Yeah.
You must have
but
a
I
sad
didn't. I
life.
didn't actually take time off. I must have a sad life. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, because you must just look forward to coming into the studio.
Well, it's the only place I can get any warmth in the absence
No.
of an electric vest, Diane.
Get yourself one.
What, a holiday or a vest?
Both.
Both. I knew you were going to say
Bye.
that. All right. Thanks a lot,
Bye.
Diane. Cheers, my dear. Excellent advice there. Just turn the heating off and get yourself one of them plug-in vests. Not a plug-in baby, because that's Muse and that's something different entirely.
Rock and roll!
Ashstead. Claire.
Hello.
Claire.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
okay?
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you. I really mean that anyway. I'm hoping we can talk about soil, nitrogen, weed, and science, and maybe the Greens can sort it all out, the Green Party. That's all I can think with all this adding up. But insects in soil are good. They keep the ecosystem going, which is why it's good to eat English food, I suppose. And there's loads of insects in the soil.
Oh.
And it keeps the nitrogen levels good, I suppose. And we drink nitrogen's in drink, isn't it? Alcohol and stuff.
I don't think so. I've never knowingly drunk nitrogen.
It's probably illegal, but I think some places do have it. I have no idea. I think it's something about phosphate.
I'm on about 3 pints of nitrogen a day now, man.
Excess nitrogen in the atmosphere can produce pollutants.
Bit of a headache at the moment, that's all.
Ozone and everything, and impair ability to breathe, limit visibility and alter plant growth.
Well, you're making a lot of sense, Claire.
When excess nitrogen comes back to Earth from the atmosphere, it can harm the health of forests, soils and waterways.
Very heavy.
And UK soils is 20 to 30 years in good nutrients.
Is that right? Is that what
it might change, who knows?
Is that what it says in front of you?
No, not all of it. Nitrogen makes plants grow, but too much good thing is a bad thing.
It's a bad thing.
When too much nitrogen flows to our base. Fast-growing plants outcompete and kill slower-growing beneficial plants.
The stuff you've learned, and you're just thinking that stuff up off the top of your head, Claire, it is amazing. And I do appreciate that call about nitrogen, or whatever it was about. Thanks, Claire. Excellent work. Lewisham, Yazin.
Hi, Nick.
Yazin.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, I don't know where I'm going to start from, but I'll try to go straight to the point. So basically, before he got elected, when he was running for second term, he told every Londoner his plan. He told them he's going to expand the ULEZ, and he told them he's thinking to charge outsiders, like outside London people, to pay £5 to come into London. And the other candidate, what's his name, Sean Bailey, which I vote for, he told them, all those taxes, I'm going to scrap it if you vote for me. They voted for so they can. So why people are moaning, I don't know. And why are you defending them first place? Just leave them. They enjoy this. They enjoy this mess. I think they're going to vote drunk, in my opinion.
You think that Sadiq Khan is the mayor of London because his supporters were drunk when they went to the voting booth?
Of course. He's telling them, I'm going to charge you, this is my plan, so I'm going to charge £12.50 and I expand the ULEZ. Why do you vote for him? This is exactly what happened with Liz Truss. People going to vote for someone not qualified who's going to ruin their interest. And then they come to the media and they go to the government, oh, can you please help us? Why do we help you? You had two choices. Someone told you, I'm going to scrap all those charges or taxes if you vote for me. And someone stuck with his gun and he said, yeah, I'm going to do that. And they voted for him.
Right, well, they voted not to have money taken from their pocket as though they had been pickpocketed on Oxford Street. They voted for the reason that he said that he was going to extend the ULEZ zone to breathe cleaner air for the benefit of everybody. That was part of his manifesto, which read, a Green New Deal for the city with cleaner air, improved open spaces, green jobs and tackling climate change at its heart, including extending the ULEZ zone in, he did say October 21. So it's a little late, but that's what he said. And you're quite right. The people voted for him. I'm not sure that they voted for him because that they were drunk at the time. But thanks for that, Yazin. Bermondsey, Lavinia Grace.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you, my lovely?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Lovely to hear your voice.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Can I just say something? That I need to say something before I say something else.
Right? Oh, I'm lost already. You're going to say something now before you say something that you called in to say? Or is there...
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, 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 whoa. What's new, pussycat?
Yes.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, no, we've run out of time on that call. Gosh, I hate it when that happens. Sheffield, Jessica.
Yeah, hello there, Nick.
Jessica.
I was going to talk to you about something completely different. But
yes.
That last caller that you've cited, I listened to him and he sang you a song, and I don't think that you appreciated it.
Appreciated in what way? His singing voice or its relevance?
Thanks for that. It made me think you didn't enjoy it.
What, him singing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't enjoy singing of any kind.
Well, I won't do that. Nick, I've not spoken to you for a while.
Wow.
I've been out of the country. I've
Haven't I
got
been
back.
lucky? Yeah, you've been
Yeah, and me. I've got back and you sound exactly the same.
at His Majesty's pleasure. Yes.
Yeah. So what are you thinking about things at the moment then? How are things for you?
What?
How are things for you? I've heard you sort of in the last hour being quite unhappy.
Unhappy?
I've got to catch up with you. I thought that last caller might have cheered you up with the song, but obviously not, so that's put a bit of pressure on me.
Right. So is this you performing at your maximum?
I am, Nick, and
Right.
I'm sorry. But,
sorry
it's
isn't
nice
going to
to
cut
hear
it.
you. I know it's not, but what else is going to cut it? That caller was optimistic, and I feel you're not. What's going on, Nick, with you?
He was optimistic about what? About travelling on a
Well,
train?
about singing your
about
song.
travelling on a train that doesn't exist?
Yeah, but we've all got to kind of keep our pecker up because we've got Rishi to deal with. So,
Well, what you
I
do
felt
in
you
the
should have
privacy of
indulged
your
him.
own home in
I felt
Sheffield
you
is
should have indulged
nobody's
him more
business
than
but
you
your
did.
own, Jessica. And whatever you do with your pecker is a matter unto yourself.
I'm so glad to hear you again, Nick.
Okay.
You're exactly as I remember you.
Right. Well, ditto. If I remembered you, Jessica, then I would say the exact same thing.
Well, there you go.
No, there you go. Quite specifically, there you go.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Kensington. Hello, David.
Hello, Nick.
David.
Yeah, you need to let listeners know that London's air is the cleanest it's ever been in London's history. The pollution
That's
levels
not really
in London...
saying very much, though, is it?
Oh, it's massive. I don't know if you or I are older, Nick, but I was born 60 years ago in something called a pea super.
Yeah.
But
to say that it's clean, but to say that it's cleaner than air that was so thick that you couldn't see to the other side of the road is not really saying much.
Well, let's deal with it's still in historical terms unbelievably cleanest in living memory.
Yeah,
and if you look at the ULEZ,
it means
let's
nothing.
take it in the context of the ULEZ, right, which is where you're asking. If you look at Sadiq Khan's own study done by a company called Jacobs into the impacts of extending the ULEZ and what it will do for London's air quality and health benefits, zero.
Well, that can't be true.
Well, page 47 of the Jacobs document, if you want. I'll dig it up and email it to you.
Who are Jacobs?
They're the consultants that TfL paid to do the study looking at what the impact of the ULEZ extension would be.
Well, I don't know who Jacobs are, but I know who the World Health Organization are.
Yeah, but
and they said that 99% of Londoners live in an area where air pollution exceeds the recommendations from the World Health Organization for particulate matter, the very thing that you are talking about.
Well, we're talking about what I thought you want to talk about was the ULEZ extension. Why?
Yes, but the ULEZ extension is being extended for the benefit of cleaner air.
No, it's being extended for the benefit of Sadiq Khan's coffers.
Oh, nonsense!
Because look at this document. It's his own document. It's his own document, Nick. You all for good journalism. Look at the document.
Well, look at
health impact
I would rather listen to the World Health Organization than some body I've never heard of.
Organization, then. What's the basis for their description of a suitable level of clean air?
You will have to ask them. I don't know that. I'm not a scientist.
So I can tell you, it's completely arbitrary. It's not based on anything more than an arbitrary cutoff.
Well, then that surely is the same for the report that you've just cited.
Well, no, because in the case of the report that I'm citing, what the consultants have done is they've looked at the quality of the air as it is now. They've looked at the quality of the air as it will be once his scheme is in place, and then they have modelled what the
right, so it's a
impact
guess.
will be.
It's a guess.
Well, it's a model, but
it's a guess on what.
Hang on, Nick,
It is a guess on what may or may not happen in the future. What we do know is what is happening right now. So I'd rather an organisation like the World Health Organization told me what's happening now rather than an organisation I've never heard of telling me what they think might happen in the future. Chiswick, hello, Jeff.
Oh, hi, Nick. I didn't realise I was going to be so quick. Yeah, I know a very good advantage of Brexit, and that is getting rid of free movement of foreigners.
Free movement of foreigners?
Yes, the EU free movement. I believe that, even though, by the way, I voted to remain for very selfish reasons, that I knew the stock market would plummet, and sure enough it did by about 40% on that day in 2016 when we voted to leave.
Well, you should have done the smart thing and done what the people who were funding Brexit did and bet against the pound.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do believe, Nick, that the overwhelming reasons for most people, they did know what they were voting for. They were voting to get rid of Johnny Foreigner. And I honestly believe that even though, of course, that's only for the EU free movement, and, you know, we already have, you could say we had control of the rest of the world coming to us, and maybe we've had to accelerate that. The control of free movement was a very, very big reason for Brexit being voted for, and from that point of view, it's a success.
But it isn't, though, is it? We've got more people coming here from abroad than ever before.
Well, from abroad ever before, but we are in control of the decision whether to do that or not.
Well, we always
were. We were outside the EU, but with the EU we weren't in control. It was free movement. That's the point I'm making.
Right. And I'm finding it a little bit difficult to understand whether you're actually being sarcastic when you say that that's a benefit.
No, I'm really not. I believe.
But how could it be a benefit if after we left there's more people coming over the channel than there was before?
Well, that's because the decision to allow people from the rest of the world and not the EU has been ramped up.
No, but now that we're out of the EU, we don't have the legal right to send people back to France that come here by boats. Whereas when we were in the EU, we could do that. So it's actually got worse, not better.
Oh, Nick, don't talk about boats. I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? That's just a joke, honestly. Whether we get our rules right to be able to send people back or to Rwanda or anywhere else is beside the point. What I'm saying is that we have now got control of anybody that comes into the country from the rest of the world, from the whole of the world.
Right, but
we didn't have that control within the EU before. It was free movement. Those were the magic words, weren't they?
Right. I'm still a little unsure about whether you're being sarcastic or not. Because it sounds to me as though you are. You're saying as a benefit something that's got worse since we left. And by worse, I mean, you know, in the minds of those who don't like to be surrounded by foreigners. Isleworth, hello, Ravi.
Hello, Nick, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Nick, first I thought the MPs thought we masses were daft, but now this journalist, she said she done it for the public interest.
Yeah.
Because she held on to it for months and months. I think she got confused. I think she done it because the increase in interest rate by the Bank of England, she can earn more interest with all the money she got by selling her story.
Well, what's amazing is that Matt Hancock gave a journalist an enormous amount of incriminating information and then is surprised that the journalist published it. I mean, that's what journalists do.
Absolutely, but you don't know who's worse, her or Matt. I
wouldn't want to have to choose my favourite between them. I choose none of the above. How does that sound?
Well, I agree with you. Now, the thing is, what's come out, I think most of us knew anyway. But I think they all want to be celebrities. I think now he's been in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of There. I think he wants to remain a celebrity and get back in there.
Well, maybe that's one of the reasons why people become an MP in the first place, is that they want to be in the spotlight, but they don't actually have any kind of talent that would make people buy a ticket to see them. And so,
yes, but on the serious side, Nick, it is time to move on now. It's been 2-3 years since the COVID. I think we just want to now.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't, Rabbi. Where did all the money go?
Good question.
Right.
I think we'll never know the answer,
Well,
Nick.
we'll never know the answer if we move on.
But how? That's true. But I think COVID has really affected many people now.
Yeah.
I mean, to know the answer, how would it change your life? Will it change your life, or?
But that's to say that okay, well, I robbed a bank, but it was 2 years ago, and can't we move on? That's no, Ravi. We cannot move on any more than we can't move on from Brexit. We must dig as far down as the hole goes. And this, it's essentially, I'm bored now, can't we talk about something else? Hell no. No, we can't. I want to know where the money went. I want to know why companies that started up 1 week, whose entire assets were a telephone and a desk, were suddenly given a contract worth hundreds of millions of pounds of our money by the government. How did that come about? Not just once, but over and over and over again. And some companies made hundreds of millions of pounds in profits by providing something they had no experience of, that in many cases didn't even arrive, or if it did arrive, it was unusable. And they kept the money anyway. We can't move on from that. That's probably the biggest, taken as a whole, it must be the biggest crime in the history of this country. Think of a bigger one. What robbery got a larger amount of money than the amount that was sprayed up the wall on those VIP lanes and has just disappeared into the ether? It's so incredible, the things that you learn. And the more you learn, the worse it gets. We paid hundreds of millions of pounds to a company that just happened to have been a donor to the Conservative Party or friends of MPs in the Conservative Party, and they provided kit that wasn't used and had to be stored, and then we paid them to store it. I think we were running at something like £1 million a week just to store the kit that couldn't be used. And then we paid them again to burn it. The same people, over and over again. People have got rich beyond their wildest dreams, practically overnight, and we got people like Ravi who's bored, so we want to move on. No! Every penny should be tracked down. All of it. I mean, if it takes 10 years, so be it. And then when we find out who these people are and what they did with the money, then we should, if it's legal to do so, we should get it back and put them in jail where they deserve to be. But thanks, Ravi. Don't be bored, because that's them winning. They want you to be bored. Do you have to be entertained all the time? Roger Johnson's legal defence fees for the upcoming Partygate inquiry are covered by the taxpayer. That's you. And they are expected to soar again as the government prepares to extend the contract. He's going to face a grilling, apparently. I bet it isn't. I bet it's not a grilling. But that is what he is expected to face over whether he lied to Parliament about COVID parties. Liar! The taxpayer is already set to contribute more than £222,000 in legal fees for Roger Johnson. Why? Why are we paying his legal bill? When you don't have to pay your own bill, then you simply go to the most expensive thing in the shop, right? If somebody else is paying in a restaurant, and money is no object, then you pick the most expensive bottle of wine. Yes? £222,000 for that man's legal fees. A man who has just, in about as many weeks, earned something of the order of £4 or £5 million for doing nothing, to my eye. £222,000 is an amount close to, by the way, the sum that Bodger called chicken feed when he earned it for scribbling a weekly column for the Telegraph. Do you remember? Some inquisitive journalist said, I think it was almost exactly that figure, £222,000 a year. And they asked him about earning that much for dashing off one column a week for the Telegraph, and he called it chicken feed. And now it is such a large amount of money that he can't pay it himself. We poor dopes who pay taxes have to pay it. Interesting. Interesting that when he's making it, it's a small amount, but when he has to pay it, it's too much and we should oblige. The government contract with a legal firm is reviewed before expiring on the 28th of February, and they've upped the bill by another 5-figure sum.
Oh, fabulous.
I mean, when nurses want a pay rise, we've got nothing to offer. When it's a Tory that wants us to pick up his gargantuan legal bill, then the till is open and they can help themselves. And it comes as it emerged that investigating MPs on the Privilege Committee made a site visit to Number 10 to see where the rule-breaking parties were held during the pandemic. I mean, it must have been like one of those walking tours of London's East End. You know, this is where the staffers had sex in the basement, and this is the stain of Merlot vomit up the wall, and this is where Bodger Johnson appeared at what was definitely not a party. It was one of those business meetings until he left it. MPs have apparently not set a date for the public hearings for Partygate, which is trying to establish whether Johnson misled the Commons about what he knew of illicit gatherings. Well, I can clear that up right now.
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
He followed the ministerial guidance at all times. And why are we having to go through this nonsense? I mean, can there be a single person in the land that doesn't know the answer to whether he misled the Commons? But the televised sessions are expected to begin sometime in March, and Johnson denies misleading MPs, recently telling his staunch ally Nadine Dorries that anyone who suspects he deliberately covered up lockdown parties was, quotes, out of their mind. You know, well, I believe him. I mean, it's not like he has a history of lying or anything. The decision to give so much of your money to cover Johnson's legal fees is actually being looked into by officials at the National Audit Office. The National Audit Office has not yet decided to launch a formal investigation, but a letter last month revealed one of the spending watchdog's top officials will speak to the Cabinet Office about the matter. Oh, great. An official will speak to an official. That'll teach them.
Oh, fabulous.
Solicitors firm Peters & Peters, so great they named them twice, was awarded a contract worth £129,700 in August to provide Johnson with advice during the investigation. Oh, my God. £129,000 for advice. And then they just extended it by 90 grand. That was approved in December. Did you approve that in December?
No.
No, they approved it on your behalf. We, the little people, the poor dopes who paid taxes, didn't approve it. So they went ahead and approved it for us. The stuff that goes on, you just couldn't believe it. 129 grand plus 90 for advice. Very expensive to those that can't afford it. Free to those that can.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Woodford, David.
Well, good afternoon, morning, well, good evening.
Yes, sir.
With regards to Rishi Sunak, I actually 100% agree with what his actions are. However,
By
They need
actions, you mean enacting a new law to prevent the people...
to make it illegal, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, 100%. However, there has to be a way that migrants, so asylum seekers, can actually come to the UK. Coming over on the boats obviously is not an answer. I don't understand why they can't set up the UK embassies throughout the world as bases where people can apply for asylum. People are coming from war-torn places and dangerous places. They are coming into safe countries where they could apply through the UK embassies, using the staff, therefore increasing the amount of staff that can process these applications in the different countries.
It might be tough for people who have nothing, they have no papers, they have no money, they've essentially fled their country in danger of losing their life. It might be difficult for them to find a British embassy because they're not. It's not like McDonald's. They're not in every town and city.
They're in all the many European countries in which the asylum seekers will go through.
Yeah, but they wouldn't. If they were coming here, then they would have to detour, say, to Paris, which might not be something that they could actually either afford to do.
Well, if they're coming in through Africa, they can go through to Greece, they can go through to Germany, they can go through to many other European countries where we have UK embassies, which is a shorter trip than to come to the places over in France.
Well, it very
they
much
have to smoke themselves across.
Whether it's a shorter trip or not, very much depends on where they're coming from and where they're going to. I'm not sure that actually works. I mean, it would be okay if you had a passport and you had credit cards and you had money behind you, but how would they get to these places and how would they get from those places to Britain? I understand what you're saying. It would be good if people who had the resources could do that, but I'm not sure that the people that we're talking about have the financial wherewithal to actually take that policy up. Bloomsbury, hello, Sophia.
Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Sophia.
I hope you're well.
Yes, great, mate.
Luckily, I know lots of more lively people in the Labour Party, but as a product of the 60s, we had... I've never heard of such aggravated warmongering.
What?
We said make love, not war. And if their chance comes to oppose the government, which we have had so long, why do we run around and agree with them?
Who?
Here, coming back from the Ukraine, and agree with them, obviously.
Right.
We should oppose them by saying that they're warmongering. I mean, making love with tanks and killing our men fighting.
It's almost certainly illegal.
Yes,
particularly if you do it in public.
Yes. And decreasing our army and...
now, wait a minute. Did you say degreasing?
Decreasing by sending them fighter planes and
we're going to degrease our army. Is that what you're saying?
Decreasing.
You want our army to have less grease on it?
No, I didn't. Though it's a good joke. I agree. We're all resorting to these jokes these days.
We.
And it's just my friends. I've got lots of friends who do this.
I seriously doubt that.
And every day I'm going to publish an agenda for it.
Oh, well, I can't wait not to read that.
I do remember all these things about the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks, not just the Berlin Wall falling.
Well,
but
you're making a lot of sense, Sophia.
The Soviet Union. All I want to say, I just do remember how... Corbyn could be branded as anti...
I see. It's Jeremy Corbyn's fault.
Because then it came to me, I remembered...
like a vision.
Mandelson. And I remember Mandelson, and he opposed him because he took a lot of funding from the party.
Yeah, no doubt. I have a question, Sophia.
If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Sophia, I have a question.
Anyway,
I have a question for you. I have a question for you, Sophia. Or we could just talk over each. Oh God, please no. I'm in pain enough as it is. But thanks anyway. I have a question for you, Sophia.
I'll talk to you next time.
I have a question for you, Sophia.
Okay. Do you want the guitar as well?
No, that beeping in the background, that's your fire alarm, isn't it?
No, all about that. I had a wonderful person. My best handyman came along, and he comes from a lovely country.
Country, yes.
And he...
Which one?
I don't know. I never asked him. He's just so nice.
Well, how do you know it's a lovely country? It could be a terrible one. He could come from Belgium.
He's the best handyman that I ever had.
You ever had, yeah.
Yes, and so he replaced the hob lights. Then we got... He's never done anything.
The hob light is not the problem, Sophia. You've got a fire alarm that's running out of battery juice.
I'm telling you.
Well, I'm telling you.
We got two cowboys came in here, and one said, no, it wasn't it was something else. And I know there are lots of problems with the smoke alarm.
There it goes again. How can you stand it?
I got used to it because I look at the hob lights. They're so lovely. And I think
the hob lights are neither here nor there. The hob lights aren't going to save you in the event of a fire. You must get your fire alarm checked.
Yeah, well, the man is coming to do that.
Oh,
but
I see.
Couldn't find the battery.
Couldn't find a woman to do it, so you're going to have to have a man in. Couldn't find the battery?
Well, he was a man. He had batteries. He had, but he didn't have the right
battery. Right.
Yes.
Well, he's an idiot.
We're still waiting
tell him that from me.
I will do, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Sophia, and I wish you all the best. How can you get used to that? It's supposed to be annoying. It doesn't go off like every 10 seconds. It goes off about every 30 seconds or a minute or so. It's just long enough for you to forget that it's there, and then you're jolted by its beeping. It's supposed to annoy you enough to fix it. It's there to save your life, Sophia. I'm just trying to help. Am I helping yet? No. Jane, Lewisham.
Hello, Nick.
Jane.
It's very good to have you on tonight.
Thanks.
Yeah, Brexit, it is good for us and Europe and the world, but this government, well, I'm not allowed to say what I think of this government. And Labour isn't much better either, right? You know,
not much better than they're not in power anymore. But let's go back to it's great for this country and Europe and the world. In what way?
Well, we've got a world gone horribly wrong. More wrong than your friend James could ever think.
Right. I'm not sure that that's a benefit of Brexit. So where's the benefit then?
Well, if the motoring party is running the country...
I haven't heard of the motoring party. But, I keep asking the same question, and you say that it's a benefit not just to this country, but to Europe as well and the world. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, because that's it. Lots of people all around the world, they want to come here on this little bit of land, and that's impossible. So it's like we've been given the job of looking after, especially Europe. The EU is not looking after Europe, and that goes around the world.
Okay. All right. I think that's as much sense as I'm going to wring out of that call as in precious little. Thanks, Jane. Anybody else? Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Oh, is that Nick? Nick, listen, why? Listen now. Mm-hmm. Listen to what happened.
Yes.
Right? I'm in Prince Charles Hospital in Merthyr. Mm-hmm. I'm in a bed. Oh, I've been through it all. I went out with my best friend, Shadwell. He's known as Yento. He went to Canada.
Jeff, is this a joke?
No. Nick,
are you a listener with the material? That sounds like a yes to me. Oh, no, a listener with material.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, Jeff. It was a little bit too stand-up comedian for me. But better luck next time. Somerset. Hello, John.
Oh, hello. How are you, Nick?
Yes, good, thanks.
Oh, good. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making your call.
I've spoke to you in the past about the Alien franchise.
The Alien franchise?
Yeah, the original, the Alien films. My favourite was the original 1979 Alien with Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, yeah. That's good to know. My favourite is the second one, mostly. Mostly.
Yeah, mostly they come out at night.
Yeah.
Mostly. Well, on that subject, though, why do you prefer the second one? I think there's a lot to be said for the second one, but why do you prefer it?
There's no whys or wherefores. I just do. I think, I don't know, it's just more of a roller coaster ride. You've seen the first one and you know, I don't know. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know.
You started it.
Well, no, you did, mostly.
OK, great talking to you, John. Excellent call. Kingston. Hello, Alan.
Hello.
Alan.
Nick. The reason I rang is I was listening to the dentist saying about unnecessary people being in A&E.
Yeah.
I was explaining to you, like your producer, whoever it was, that I put a chop saw through my thumb.
You put a what?
A chop saw.
What's that?
You know the chop saw you cut wood, the blade?
Oh, ooh.
And it went through my thumb, so the guy I was working for, he rushed me to the hospital. I've gone in, the triage nurse said, what's up? And I went, look at that. And my hand was covered in blood. And because you wrapped up in wet stuff, but he goes, right, go over there, give me the band. And then he said, right, sit there for a minute, put another dress on it. Then they come out and called me straight away, and the girl sitting next to me, she got up and started ranting and raving because all she done was twisted her ankle. Now, to me, I'm sorry, that's the kind of person that's wasting the NHS.
Right, yes.
I mean, I had to go there because my thumb was hanging off.
Yeah.
So that was like an emergency. Like, she was ranting and raving, going mental because I was getting seen before her.
Yeah,
all she had was a dodgy ankle.
Right, as though it's you're waiting for your order in a fast food restaurant. He's got served before me. I've been waiting here for ages.
Yeah. It's like being at McDonald's and going, hang on. Yeah, so that's just one of the things. Listen to that dentist you were speaking to before. I can see what he was saying a lot of things. There is so many people in A&E that don't need to be there.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is that they can't get seen in any other way. They try to go to their GP. I mean, you might have had this experience yourself. You try and get a GP appointment, and you can't be seen that day. And when you call up to see the GP, you want to be seen that day because the illness that you have has made you get on the phone and make an appointment. To be told then that there isn't one today and we can't see you this week and would you mind coming in a couple of weeks' time? Well, that's all very well, but you might be either cured or dead by then.
Yeah, but then think about how many people just go to the GP because they've got a cold.
And they want antibiotics.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Sorry, if you've got a cold, you get on with it.
Yeah, okay.
You know, you have to, sorry, if I was concerned, you have to have something seriously wrong with you.
I'm sure that most people in A&E do have something seriously wrong with them, and...
Oh, I don't know, I've seen a few people just sitting there. Come on, most people would agree with me and verify it. They've gone to see A&E for a good reason, and they just look at people going, really?
Well, I wonder if that is people's experience, that they've gone to A&E and they're sitting with people who don't really have any business being there. I'm sure that is the case. I just wonder how common it is.
Oh, right. I think it's very common, mate.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll perhaps find out. Thanks for that, Alan. Bedfordshire. Hello, Eugene.
Oh, hello, Nick. Yeah, I agree with your last caller that this is just government propaganda, saying they won't allow these boat people to claim asylum, because even it's totally ridiculous because they destroy their documents, they lie from which country they're from, and the countries won't accept them back. So whether they claim asylum or not, they know they'll be allowed to stay in the UK, even though they're coming from a safe country. They've travelled through all of Europe.
Well, you can't know. Well, hang on a minute. You can't have both things. You can't say that they've destroyed their documents and know where they've come from. It has to be one or the other.
But we don't know where they come from.
Right. So you can't. So hang on a minute. So wait. So you can't know that it's a safe country if you don't know where they've come from.
I never said it was a safe country. I said they arrived in a safe country like France. They've been through Europe.
Right. So why should France do all of the heavy lifting and we do nothing?
Because these people, they have they're fleeing for safety, right? So if they're fleeing for safety, why not apply for asylum in France or Germany?
Yes. Well, why should they do all the work and we do nothing?
Well, because they know they're liars, basically, and if
hang on a minute. Who knows who are liars?
The people like coming here.
They know
because they know if they apply in France, they won't get asylum there.
But that's completely untrue. France takes more people. But it isn't true though, Eugene. France takes more people as asylum seekers than we do.
Don't. I don't believe you.
Well, whether you believe me or not is irrelevant, Eugene. The fact is that they do.
People know that they've no chance in France or Germany.
That's completely untrue, Eugene. France and Germany take way more asylum seekers than we do.
I don't believe you.
I don't care whether you believe me or not, Eugene. It's irrelevant whether you believe me or not. I'm telling you the truth. Whether you can't handle the truth is neither here nor there. But anyway, it has been a delight, and I wish you all the best. Let's have a call in Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Jan.
Hi. It's coming back to this bit. You mentioned about music earlier, about the piano.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, myself, I was brought up with the piano. So, I mean, and when I didn't, from young, so all you have to do is learn how to read music. I did the formal
All you have to do... That's like saying all you have to do is learn how to play the piano. It's as simple as that.
Know how to read music.
Yeah.
Then you could learn anything. But you know, in grade.
Well, you know who can't read music?
No, I mean you learn how to read it.
No, answer the question. Do you know who can't read music?
Oh, well, I went to a girls' school where everyone had to learn a musical instrument, even if it was a humble recorder from the age of 11.
Jan. Do you know who can't read music?
Who can't? Most people can't.
You're being very uncooperative. Just say who. Do you know who can't read music? Right, thank you.
That means the piano is a
Wait a minute. Here, Jan, do you know who can't read music?
You can't.
Just say who. Hey, Jan, do you know who can't read music?
A lot of people.
Oh, my God. Jan, say who.
Who?
Do you know who can't read music?
Loads of people. But
Stop speaking.
The piano,
Stop speaking. Just take a breath.
I'm focusing on the piano.
Jan, take a breath. And I didn't say breathe out. I just... Take a breath in and calm your mind. I'm going to ask you a question. The answer to the question is who. Here's the question. Jan, do you know who can't read music?
Well, a lot of people can't, but a lot of people can. No, look, there's a new report. Coming back to this, look, music education in the schools, it doesn't exist practically.
No. I'm not going to get past this unless we achieve...
I'm not quite sure how you want me to answer it, though.
Jan, the answer to the question is who. The question is, Jan, do you know who can't read music?
Do I know who can't read music?
Oh, my God.
A lot of people I know can. No, I learned music. I went through the exams.
Never mind about that.
Look,
wait a minute, Jan. Pause.
Yes.
Just stop speaking for a moment.
Yes.
I'll try another one. Are you dancing?
Sorry?
Oh.
Am I dancing?
Yeah. I'm going to ask my glamorous assistant. Hey, are you dancing? Who? Oh, exactly. Well, I give up. You've beaten me, Jan. You've beaten me, Jan. I am defeated. Congratulations, you won. Do you see what I have to deal with? Sheffield. Hello, Andy.
Hey, mate. You all right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. I'm not sure if I'm going to be talking about the same thing that you were talking about because I literally turned on just for the adverts at 10:15.
Yeah, and we've talked about 86,000 different topics since then, but go ahead.
You probably have, yes. Yeah. I thought you were talking about people seeing their children. Is that right?
Well, I think I may have mentioned in passing people getting parenting lessons for their recalcitrant offspring.
That's right, yes. That's exactly
Bingo.
Right. That's right, yeah. Well, my ex-wife and I were court ordered to go to parenting lessons. And
you were told to go to parenting lessons?
Yeah, by the court, yes.
By the court, right, okay. So what happened?
Yes, yeah. Well, she turned around and said in court, I don't need to go to parenting lesson. I've got children. I don't need to do this. But she was ordered to do it and just didn't want to do it. Whatever, that's fine. Whatever she wants to do.
Well, no, if the court's told her, then it's not whatever she wants to do.
No, she went.
Right.
No, don't get me wrong, she did go. She did go. But reluctantly. But things changed after that. I can't remember what year it was now. It was soon about 2007 or something like that. I think it was April 1st, 2007, where she was ordered to let me see my child, and she knew that it was coming up, this date, and I was allowed to see. I was seeing my daughter until that time, and then all of a sudden stopped completely. Couldn't see her anymore. And there's absolutely because legal aid stopped for
okay, but all right, but without getting into the nitty gritty, tell us about the parenting class. What was that like?
It was interesting.
Go on.
I thought it was okay. To be fair.
Yeah, but what was it like? What did they say? What did they have you do?
Well, it was a room with probably about 12 other people. And we just sat and talked. It was a bit like a group talk kind of thing. Can't really explain it properly, but it was a group talk, and but she was there, but she just didn't want to be there. She just had no interest.
But it was supposed to be a parenting lesson. So what was the lesson?
Oh, there were no lessons, to be honest with you.
There were no lessons. It was just a
no. What it was is they were trying to get us to work together. But if you don't want it, I wanted to work.
Right.
To do things right.
You don't come with a positive attitude. You're not going to get anything out of it. Right.
Basically, yes. Yeah. It was. But of course, the people that are running the group, it's not that they don't care. They have no authority.
No.
To say, look, you need to sit here and listen.
Yes.
Kind of thing, you know what I mean?
They can't tell you to respect their authority.
No. Well, they've got no authority in the end of the day.
So I don't really understand the concept of this lesson then. So they weren't actually teaching you anything. They weren't.
There's no point of it.
Okay, but right. But so what was the point of it though? If there was no point.
Well, because it was court ordered.
Right, but the court presumably ordered. Hang on a minute. The court presumably ordered you to do it in order to improve your attitude, improve the outcome of your, your child rearing skills, or to better you in some way. So, what was the method of doing that?
Well, I'm pretty sure that the court didn't get a report back as to what happened.
No, right.
So they wouldn't know anyway, would they? So.
Well, I'm not a representative of the court, though. You can tell me.
Well, I did what I needed to do. I did as best as I could, and everything was ignored.
It's like I'm trying to get blood out of a stone here, Andy. I'm asking you to tell me what happened, and you're just not doing it. But anyway, I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot, mate. Kings Lynn. Hello, Craig.
Good evening. How are you, Nick?
Good, thanks.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to join this competition of naming the benefits of Brexit.
Yes.
And one of the ones actually, there's a number I could point to, not least restoring control over our own lawmaking. We'd no longer have laws and red tape forced upon us by unelected bureaucrats in Brussels that no one's ever voted for.
But we do, though.
What do you mean we do? Well, when was the last time you voted for any of the commissioners?
Well, when was the last time anybody voted for David Frost, the man who negotiated the deal that Rishi Sunak is trying to unwind parts of?
Well, he negotiated it, but it was voted on by members of Parliament. They had the final decision. He was just merely a negotiator, a civil servant.
But how do you... we could go into how people get to sit in the European Parliament, and it's whether... and each of the institutions of the EU, but, I mean, I've had that conversation so many times, but people still say nobody voted for them. But of course they did. They either voted for them directly, or they were voted for by the people that we voted for. That there is a democratic deficit there is just a misunderstanding. It's ignorance, really. It's borderline stupidity that you keep saying. People, not you necessarily, but people like you keep saying that. Who voted for these people? Well, just look it up. But as for the red tape part, that was another one of the lies that was told to us that has been shown to have had the opposite effect to that which was either intended, if you take the view that they were uncertain about what the result was going to be, or they knew precisely what it was going to be and they just flat out lied to us. So many businesses now are suffering under an enormous pile of red tape that they've actually given up the hope of trading with Europe entirely, and vice versa. That's one of the reasons why people have gone to supermarkets and found the shelves bare, is because people in the EU just find it's too much of a hassle to trade with this country anymore because of the extra red tape that has been involved by leaving the EU. So you're going to have to try harder than that, I'm afraid. Oldbury, Ranjit.
Evening, how are you?
I am great, mate.
Right. You know the balloons? Remember when they blew up like a balloon made out of Donald Trump in America?
They didn't blow it up, did they?
They did. They put it on one of the, like a big bridge, yeah. And then they done one of Sajid Javid as well in retaliation.
Oh, yeah, Sajid Javid, right.
Yeah. Can you imagine loads of them coming, across the horizon, loads of orange.
Where's he gone? Oh, my God, he's gone back to India.
No, can you hear me?
I can now.
Yeah, okay. Can you imagine loads of orange balloons coming over the hill, yeah?
Yes, no.
Right, with big tummies and big wigs on, right? Looking like Donald Trump.
Wigs?
Okay? Oh, shut up!
It's not a wig, that's real hair, if you can believe that.
Oh, no. Okay, but the serious subject I want to talk about with you is about, when they're going on about children and discipline. Well, in the 80s, I mean, I'm not one for beating children up, don't get me wrong, nothing like that, right? Most successful countries like Singapore, India, China, and Hong Kong, yeah, they, in the schools, the children are taught that parents, teachers, and God are on the same pedestal, and you've got to show respect.
I don't think so. Parents, teachers, and God. That's a pretty crowded pedestal.
I know you don't believe in, but that's. I went to school in India for 2 years as well when I was a kid. Yeah. Okay. Let me just. It's about respect. Oh, yeah, older.
Respect. Well, okay? Aretha Franklin sang a song about it. RPSECTP. Yeah. Respect.
So when Margaret Thatcher started destroying society in the 80s, yeah, she started off with saying that the children at school can't be disciplined and this, that and the other.
I don't think so. She didn't say that children at school could not be disciplined. Margaret Thatcher? Well, it doesn't sound like Margaret Thatcher.
She started to destroy society. Yeah?
Oh, yeah, I remember that part. Like I remember that part. But I didn't say that you couldn't discipline children at school. I thought she would have been all over disciplining children at school.
No. She was disciplining the children at the posh schools, but the common schools, like the one I went to, yeah. And then later on we was told that our parents can't discipline us, yeah. And now
well, that's not true either. Not discipline. You could be disciplined. You just couldn't be thrashed.
No, I'm not okay. Then thrashed, yeah, whatever. One of my cousins, right? He says to his mum, "You can't say nothing to me." Right, I'm going to call the police. So she slapped him, right? A little slap, and put him outside the door. Says, "Go and call the police then." And now he's a doctor. Yeah. Okay. The thing is, if you know,
so wait a minute. Right. Okay. So having a parent that puts you outside like the cat,
yeah,
is the route to becoming a doctor. I had no idea.
No. Well, I went to parents' evening once, right? And my son's teacher said, "Look," and he used to be my teacher. He says, "Your son's misbehaving."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Tell you what."
I blame the parents.
Yeah, no. And I said to him, I said, "Mr. So-and-so," I said, I was a pupil at this school. Yeah. I didn't misbehave, did I?
Even though you were a pupil of his, you still couldn't remember his name, Mr. So-and-so. I mean, that's just flat out rude. Mr. So-and-so? You said that to his face?
No, Mr. Cannon. Yes, his name was Mr. Cannon. A brilliant teacher, right? And I still see him and I call him sir. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so basically, now you got feral children and feral parents running around, and you're wondering why society has gone like that. Yeah. It's because of lack of discipline. And
but don't kid yourself, Ranjit, that such a thing never happened before. I think indiscipline was much, much worse, back in the day than it is now. It's just that we hear more about it now. Like crime has actually gone down over the last 50 or so years, if you can believe that. It's just that we hear about it more.
No, the reason crime's gone down is people can't get through to phone and complain about crime. Yeah, it's okay.
That's not true. The crime is not logged by the amount of complaints that people register with the police. Crime is logged by the amount of crime that people say has been committed against them when they bring those surveys around. It's not how many people get lucky enough to get their 999 call picked up by the police. But anyway, excellent work there, Ranjit. Thanks for that. Now, get outside and think about what you've done. Bristol. Hello, Rose.
Hello.
Rose.
Hi. Well, I think Keir Starmer and Emily Thornberry lost the last election for the Labour Party because they suddenly came up with this idea, if we get in, we'll have another election, another vote on whether we leave the EU. And the reason they did that was because they weren't listening to the Labour voters. And they're constantly, Keir Starmer is constantly alienating at least half of Labour voters, and he doesn't seem to realise it because he's a barrister and he's out of touch with ordinary people. They've actually alienated at least half the Labour Party.
Well, you're talking about the people that voted Conservative last time.
No, what I'm talking about is the Labour Party. People like me who've always voted Labour, always wanted to vote Labour, but because of what he's done with his, not listening to the Labour voters. He wants to just be a leader.
Where did they go last time then? I mean, they went to the Conservatives, didn't they?
Don't know what you're talking about. He's in the last election, and Emily Thornberry said,
you say they lost.
If we get into power, we'll have another referendum.
I'm not sure they did.
And that's why the Tories got in. That's exactly why the Tories got in.
Well, the Tories got in because they got more votes. So are you saying that people that would have voted Labour then switched their allegiance to the Conservative Party?
Or didn't vote.
Didn't vote.
They wanted to get... They wanted to leave the EU, but Labour leaders wouldn't believe them. And one strong point I want to make is that even Angela Rayner's been alienated now by Keir Starmer. She was their one shining light, really.
Alienated?
And he's demoted her, hasn't he? But I wanted to say that the Labour leadership, Keir Starmer, now seem to think Labour voters are going to swallow anything they dish up. We're not going to.
But what's the alternative, though, Rose?
Can you just listen to this?
No, answer this. What is the alternative? Okay, I understand that you don't want to vote for Keir Starmer. Is the alternative to stay home and in a like a sulk? What is the alternative?
No, not a sulk. We need a new party. If the Labour leaders aren't going to serve us anymore.
No such party exists. So what are you going to do at the next election?
There's at least 2 years before the next election, isn't there?
Well, okay. So if one started tomorrow, it's highly unlikely that they would get enough supporters to actually challenge a major party like the Tories.
You don't know what would happen.
No, I'm saying it's highly unlikely. It's highly
going on the ground.
It's highly unlikely, Rose, that a brand new party will go.
Highly unlikely.
Yes.
You don't know what could happen. If people are so pissed off that they've got no one to vote for, they could very easily become a new party from the grassroots.
I'm not suggesting that there couldn't be a new party. I'm saying it's highly unlikely that such a party would garner enough support to challenge either of the two major parties. That seems a reasonable position to hold. So, given that there is really only one party that could beat the Conservatives at the next election, what are you going to do?
Well, you're wrong. There could be, and there will have to be another party, because Labour won't get in.
Well, all of the polling suggests that they will.
No, that's polling, because people are fed up and they want to... But they wouldn't actually be voted for. They're just saying they can't bear any more of the Conservatives.
Right.
Which I agree with.
Okay, so you have a choice. Again, if you don't want the Conservatives to win in the next general election, then you're going to have to vote for a party other than the Conservatives. Now, without this imaginary party that you're talking about, one that doesn't exist, what will be your choice at the next general election?
Well, if there wasn't a decent party to vote for, I wouldn't be able to vote. And this is exactly what happened at the last election.
Right. So do you think that's actually
the last election?
Okay, but do you think that's a good decision? Because if by sitting at home and doing nothing, the Conservative Party got in again, then would you be happy with that?
I'm not happy talking to you, but who's ever...
well, Rose, the thing is, you called me. I didn't call you, but I am distraught that you are unsatisfied. Leeds. Hello, Julie.
Hello there.
Julie.
I feel that Matt Hancock didn't really have much choice. Not that I don't like him. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like his politics. I don't like him I just find him a bit rhythmic, to be honest. But I think he's been scapegoated for this because he didn't have enough tests to test everyone that needed doing, so he had to prioritise. The government were too busy giving away other money, billions of pounds to other companies for things that were no use, neither use nor ornament, all the PPE they bought and whatnot. But they didn't have enough tests for everyone. And I know people are, saying that it's sad because my friend's mum was in a care home and it was awful for them. But there were plenty of people that were working in care homes that were out partying and mixing and to my quite disgust of knowing quite a few people that were doing it. So they were also the ones that are slagging off the government now, were doing the partying along at the same time as the government were all there. It's all like a big farce. It's come across as a big joke, to be honest with you. When I look back at it now, I just shake my head in disgust at the whole thing.
Yeah, the staff in care homes, they didn't have to party to pick up COVID. They could have just gone to the shops. They could have passed somebody in the street. It could have been somebody
I get that, but us that were being careful and caring about people and distancing ourselves and making sure that we weren't going to put people at risk, we did. And as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't have put anyone at risk that I thought. I wasn't really particularly scared of COVID. It really didn't scare me, in all fairness. But I still respected other people and other people's views, and I stayed away from people who were vulnerable and elderly people and all that kind of stuff. And I think that a lot of people didn't. And all the people that were screaming it wasn't true when everyone's dying of COVID and they're writing it down on every death certificate and it's not true, they're the ones now that are slagging Matt Hancock off. And I'm thinking,
Oh, all right. Thanks, Julie. Bermondsey, Lavinia Grace.
Oh, hi, Nick. Hi, how are you?
Great, mate.
Lovely to hear your voice.
Is it?
Yes, it is. It really is, Nick. Right, Nick. What I would like to say about what's happening out there, yeah, what we need to do is actually think out the box, okay? And how we're going to do that, to understand what is actually going on out there, you have to be a little bit crazy because the world is totally gone crazy, as you know, yeah? But also, we need to go back to basics.
Gotta be crazy, gotta have a real need.
To go back to basics. And if you said to me, Lavinia Grace, what do you mean by going back to basics?
Hey, Lavinia Grace?
Yeah?
What do you mean by going back to basics?
Well, you Tarzan and me Jane.
I don't think so.
Well, wait and see. What I'm actually trying to say is that I've been preparing myself for the last 20-odd years, honestly, Nick, honestly.
Yes.
Right? And I've been thinking ahead all the time because to understand what is going on out there, you've got to think ahead and also think out the box.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm thinking ahead and out of the box at the same time, right?
Yeah, you got to, because if you don't, you're going to sink. All right.
So right, to go to think ahead and out of the box while not sinking. Yes, it's very complicated. It's like keeping 5 balls in the air.
Life is complicated, and also life is complex, as you know.
And
It's
complicated.
So what I'm going to say to you, you tell me now, Nick, if we had a power cut or a cyber attack, what are we going to do?
Well, if I had a power cut in here, then I'd be left just talking to myself.
Exactly. So what you're going to do, you're going to be using your mind instead of the computer.
I'm going to be using my mind.
Instead of the computer. And also, what I'm going to say this, we need to go back to basics. Because sort of 40 years ago, Nick, we never had all these computers, and we're dependent on computers too much, Nick.
That is a good point. It is your smartphone is making you stupid.
Absolutely.
Your smartphone is making you stupid.
But it's not a smartphone. You know what phone I've got? Do you know what it's called? A brick phone.
A what?
A brick phone. That means it's got no internet on there. It only cost me £5. Nobody's going to kill me from my phone, Nick, because if they see my phone, they know it's going to be a silly pound phone.
Yeah.
This is how we got to think, Nick.
If anybody sees your phone, Lavinia Grace, they're going to steal somebody else's phone and give it to you out of pity.
Well, I don't think so, Nick, because I'm thinking ahead all the time. Does that make sense?
No. It's probably a good idea to rely less on your phone for getting about the place. For instance, I mean, I just drove quite a lot last week to Wales and back, and it occurred to me that I didn't make one single solitary decision about which direction I took, that my phone didn't tell me ahead of time. Turn left in 300 yards, it said, so I did it, like an idiot. I could have been going anywhere.
Exactly.
But, it used to be that you would look it up before you left on a thing called a map. If you are under the age of 30 and you don't know what that is, ask an older person what a map is. And we used to navigate by road signs.
Exactly.
Now, road signs still exist. It's just that nobody ever looks at them anymore.
Because you know why? Because we're relying on the computers. But what I need to say, and you need to grasp at this, what we need to do is go back 50 years, okay?
Yeah.
We need to start using our brain instead of the computer, and we've got to think ahead and have sort of cold showers, because I've been having that every day.
What you're saying, Lavinia Grace, is that we need to go back 50 years to think ahead.
Definitely. Because I'll tell you why. Because we've been more ahead of ourselves. We've been ahead of the game, right? And we've become resilient. You know what that means, resilient?
No.
When I mean resilient, anything's going to come our way, anything's bad, we're going to take it.
Resilient. Does that mean that you are zilliant again?
Yeah, resilient. That means...
Resilient,
we can take any knocks that come our way.
Yeah.
Yeah? So what I'm going to say to you, Nick, is sorry, to you, Nick, right, is that also, there's another point I want to make, what I'm hearing all the time.
And another thing.
This is important now.
Is it?
There is too many...
I wish you'd started with this.
Okay. In the government, right now, Nick, you know what the biggest problem is with the government?
Yeah, the government. The government is the biggest problem with the government.
This government
is the biggest problem with the government.
Well, what it is, Nick, is they're trying to do their
Sadly,
best.
you've got 10 seconds. 10 seconds, Lavinia Grace.
You know what their problem is? They need to...
They need to get organised. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Excellent work there, Lavinia Grace. Call us any time you like. Somerset, Stuart.
Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Nick, I left the forces, 5 years ago now, after 24 years service, and come out of the forces and ended up in this new world that we're living in. I worked in a secondary school when I first came out, after spending some time driving a truck 70 hours a week, living a dream. And, I worked in a secondary school, 1,000 students, multi-million-pound building. The headmistress was on £80,000 a year. And then I moved up to Hinkley Point C as a facilities manager, working through the pandemic. 4,000 people working each day on site, and we were there every day doing what we were doing. My view is now I'm a civil servant now. I wouldn't dream of going out on strike. I listen to everybody moaning about the current crisis, but thinking back to that pandemic when the government was paying 80% of people's wages, and people were given money for sitting at home because they couldn't work due to the pandemic. But the government found that money from somewhere, and I'm afraid to say that bucket of money has run out. And this is the aftermath of that issue.
What kind of a civil servant are you?
I look after estates, so I manage 62 buildings across the southwest.
Right.
And to be honest, the buildings that my customers or the other civil servants work in are not in great standards. They're not great posh buildings, as you would think. Some of them are quite dilapidated, and we do our best to make them habitable and workable for them. Heating systems are collapsing, lighting systems, roofs are leaking, all these things, and we work very hard, day in, day out to try and keep these buildings working. And we work for job centres, or I work looking after job centres.
So do you feel that you are essentially doing your bit to help the country by accepting the poor working conditions that you just described, and I assume the low level of wages that you're on?
Oh, I don't say I'm on a low level of wage at all. I wouldn't class my wage as low. I have an average wage. I work an average week. Yes, it's stressful. And yes, you have to do above and beyond. But why shouldn't you do above and beyond? Why can't you do that little bit more? Why can't you give that little bit more? I've given my life to this country and this government. Not the government that's sitting there, but all British governments.
Yeah.
They've changed over my time serving the country. And I think, it's now they supported us through the pandemic. It's time for us to just let things settle, let the pot grow a little bit. Then, after a few years, once it all settled down, the government paid out billions to keep people food in their bellies, heat.
But they weren't paying it out of their own pockets, and they weren't doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. If they hadn't have done that, then the entire country would have collapsed.
It would have done. And it's taxpayers' money, and it's taxpayers' pot. And I spend, I authorise taxpayers' money, my money. I pay tax just as much as anybody else. And
so I hear what I hear what you're saying, Stuart. What about your co-workers? Do they have the same feelings that you do?
Well, I don't know who goes out on strike, but I definitely do know the people I work with. They're always there on strike days working whilst I'm still working.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you how many civil servants from my world in the civil service, and obviously it's huge, go out and strike because none of the people I work with feel the need to go out and strike.
Okay. All right. Good to talk to you, Stuart. Thanks for that. So I think Stuart's position is, then, to sum it up, that we actually owe the government to just get on with it. Belfast. Hello, Brendan.
Hey, thanks for letting us on again.
Brendan.
Yes, that's me. I rang up about Harper Lee, but I was listening to Rose there, and I think she said one of the most salient, philosophically correct sentences that's ever been composed
She
by a
said,
human.
she said one of the what now?
She said, people are afraid to experience other people's misfortune, so they close their minds and walk on.
I thought that was me that said that.
No, you didn't. No, you would claim anything. you would claim anything. Anyway, right. Before I go to the Harper Lee, if you'll allow me, okay.
Before you go.
Quickly, I rang up last night and I was on. And then I rang up at night and I was on. And then I thought, they're going to think I'm one of these radio nuts that has Nick Abbot on speed dial.
Yes.
So that when he says something, I just want to be ringing up and talking to people. It's not.
It's exactly what people think.
It probably is. But it's not. I'm 9 times out of 10, I will say, I'm not ringing. Even though I really want to say something.
Yeah.
Well,
we could always
last night,
shout at the radio.
Yes. Well, that's what I normally do.
Yeah.
But last night, you got me with whatever it was, and I rang up. Tonight, I'm ringing about Harper Lee. And Harper Lee, you know, I'm a train spotter, plane spotter, ship spotter. Many hobbies.
All of which involve spotting, yes.
Yes. And you've touched on a nerve, a literary nerve.
A what?
When a literary nerve.
Yes.
Right, I said it right, didn't I?
Almost. Go on.
Harper Lee, what do you call a book? To Kill a Mockingbird.
Harper Lee, Coming On Strong. I think that was Radar Love, wasn't it? By Radar Love by... Oh, no. It was from the Moontan album. Radar Love by...
No.
Radar Love by...
Cracker. You've got me, but it's a cracker. I know it.
It is a cracker. It's a
cracker. Okay, listen.
It's
Harper
a cracker.
Lee. Harper Lee.
Radar Love.
Radar. Something ring.
By Golden Earring.
There you
Bingo.
go.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
The full version of that track is superb. You never, ever hear it, but I thoroughly recommend that you look it up.
I know, but that's only because you can't put your headphones on because of the earrings. But anyway, Harper Lee. Harper Lee was a lady in the Deep South, and she called herself Scout in the book, and her dad was called Atticus. And Atticus it became a cultural phenomena in that it was banned from all southern counties in the old US of A.
This is beginning to sound like a lesson. Is this a lesson?
Yes. But here's why. Yes. But here's why. Here's why.
Yeah.
And this is important. Please, Nick, this is actually quite important.
Right. And in closing, go ahead.
Okay. In closing, Harper Lee was only supposed to have written one book. That one I mentioned.
Yes.
But go set a watchman.
What?
Right? Go set a watchman.
Go set a watchman.
Yes. That was Harper Lee's book before she wrote the first one. Right. And everybody thought...
For homework, I want you to read the first 3 chapters. Is that what you're going to say?
No, it's come on, it's a social phenomenon.
Is it? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll wait till the video comes out because it'll be quicker than reading it. How does that sound?
No. Stop it, please.
You're saying no, but I'm hearing yes. Thanks a lot, Brendan. Your voice is saying...
No.
But I'm hearing...
Yes.
Croydon. Hello, Terry.
Hello. I just wanted to bring a bit of sanity into this discussion, because if you look at the actual asylum figures for Europe, the EU, they've gone from 683k in 2018 to currently about 1.2 million in 2022. So it's not just the UK. We seem to be sort of seem to say that it is just the UK that this is happening to.
Well, people say that because they get the news from the UK. I mean, they don't. The French news is not something that people follow very much.
No, but I'm just trying to calm it down a bit. The other thing is that the Dublin III agreement was really thrown out by the EU in 2016, and getting figures for the actual numbers involved is very difficult. And I've only found one source, and that's from the European Council on Refugees and Exiles. And the last paper they had was in August 2020, and it was about the implementation of the agreement in 2019 and during COVID. And none of the figures which they show on people coming and going under Dublin III is any more than a difference of a few hundred. You're talking about 1,200 coming in and 800 going out, maybe.
You're talking about the Dublin Convention, the ability to send back to the country of origin or where they came from people that came through. When we were in the European Union, we could do that. We could send them back to France.
But no, that's not what the Dublin Convention was about. It was about choosing the best country for the asylum seeker on a number of criteria, which would include family, languages, if they've been there before. So it doesn't really work. And I can't see any figures for that guy, that lawyer who rang up, where he said there were tens of thousands of people from the UK, he was implying, have moved, and that's just not true.
Tens of thousands from the UK who've moved where?
Have been moved by the Dublin Agreement out of the UK. He alluded to that. And that's just simply not true.
Well, before we left the European Union, it wasn't really a problem.
I'm not sure what that means.
There was very, very few numbers. I mean, I do actually have it in front of me. Under a mechanism known as the Dublin Convention, the British government could previously ask fellow EU nations to take back people if they had passed through safe countries en route to the UK. Now, Boris Johnson's Brexit deal, of course, rescinded that. We couldn't do that because of the deal that Boris Johnson signed. When we were in the EU, we could send them back. Now we're out of the EU, we can't.
Just a second. What you're saying is you can make requests, and a lot of outgoing requests are made by France and Germany and Spain. But the number of actual people that move is like a very low percentage.
Yes, but there's a very low percentage of people, a very low number of people that came when we were part of the EU. Professor Tom Brooks of the Durham University did a report on this. He said, the government used to have a deal on returning migrants, but it ended with Brexit and no alternative was agreed. This made it far more difficult to return any new arrivals, and numbers have skyrocketed after this deal stopped. There were no recorded small boat crossings until 2018, and migration levels remained steady until the Brexit transition period ended in 2020, and then they took off.
Well, that's not the figures that I'm seeing. It really all started in 2016.
Where are your figures from?
Well, I just gave you that reference, which is the European thing. This is the problem we have, is that we can't, the figures fly around and you can't be sure what's going on. It's the European Council on Refugees and Exiles, which is an NGO which deals with about 90 organisations which deal with refugees. It's not got a side, but it tends to be pro-refugees. Okay?
Well, but your figures can't be different from mine. I mean, there is no doubt about it. The numbers of people coming over on small boats has skyrocketed over the past few years, yes?
That's right.
Right, okay. And what happened in the last few years is we left the European Union.
Yeah, but it's also... But did that affect the fact that the number of asylum seekers in Europe has rocketed?
Right, no, well, that's for all sorts of reasons, including the Russian war in Ukraine, including the starvation of millions of people in the Horn of Africa, and climate change, and all sorts of reasons. Afghanistan, and Syria, and it's not unknown why those numbers have gone up. And I don't really know what that has to do really with what we're talking about. We're not disagreeing on the numbers having gone up. It's them coming here that we're talking about. Cannock, Mel.
Hello, Nick.
Mel.
Been a while. How are you?
Good, thanks. Been a long time. Been a long, lonely time.
Yeah, I know you. I know you miss me. I was going to say that a lot of people are saying that the Labour Party is going to win the next election, but no party has ever overturned an 80 majority in one go.
Yeah, but no party has been found guilty of everything that this party has. I mean, we've never gone through this before.
I can't say much about Partygate because I took no notice of the lockdown either.
Didn't you?
But, no, I didn't believe in it. I know you can't stop a virus. If I was going to get it, I'm going to get it. I never did.
Right.
I had the jabs.
You don't know you never got it.
Not that I know of, anyway.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think, isn't it that something that most people who got it didn't know that they got it. Most people who got it didn't actually suffer that much, I think. Not that I know anything about anything, but, you know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I did respect other people's beliefs. I mean, respect is a very important thing, like Aretha Franklin said. RPSECTP. Yeah, respect other people's decisions. Other people followed it to the letter. But no, I took the nose of it. I don't. It's probably my rebellious nature. I don't like being told what to do.
You're a rebel, and you'll never be any good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it'll probably be a hung parliament.
Right.
At the next election.
I mean, that'll suit me just fine, just as long as it's not complete control to you-know-who.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the last thing we need. I don't think this country could actually survive it.
I can't vote Labour. I said after Tony Blair, never again. Because I used to be, my family was all Labour.
Yeah, I don't think Tony Blair is on the scene anymore. Tony Blair is not something you have to worry about, Mel. But anyway, just pick the least bad option, but make sure you vote. I got to go. A Blue Anchor. John, again.
Oh, hello.
Yes, John.
Hi, Nick. Nick, I haven't just been on. I was on yesterday, 24 hours ago, but that doesn't count.
That's fine.
How did he get on twice?
I just left him there and forgot that I'd spoken to him already.
Was he that forgettable?
I suppose so, yeah.
Do you remember the 60s?
No.
Oh. Does that mean you were there or you weren't?
Well, I was born in 1960, so by the time it was over, I was only 10.
Okay. Well, I was born in 1969, so I just sort of edged in a little bit.
No, you don't remember a thing about the 1960s. You might know about it, but not directly.
Exactly. I was born the year of the moon landing.
Okay.
Do you think we really went?
I don't know. Right at the beginning of that, I heard
warning
in my mind, and but I let it go anyway. Always go with your gut instincts. Boris Johnson was pictured at a Prosecco-fuelled gathering in Downing Street just days after Matt Hancock gave police their marching orders to enforce strict lockdown measures.
What?
A newly released photograph shows the then Prime Minister addressing staff at a leaving do for 2 private secretaries during England's 3rd national lockdown, if you please. At least 4 bottles of Prosecco and several bottles of beer could be seen on the table, around which a number of Downing Street staff were sitting or standing. Booze. Mr. Johnson, who is seen standing up addressing staff, is said to have spoken for about 5 minutes. This was at the event on January the 14th, 2021. He said, "Gadzooks, forsooth." You know, something about Greek gods you'd only understand if you read fairy stories at Oxford, and then something in Latin that sounded like he was reciting a magic spell from Harry Potter.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
England's third national lockdown had come into force just a week earlier, with people told to stay at home except for a handful of reasons, none of which included having a booze up with your mates or doing a stand-up routine in a room full of drunks. Did it, Bodge? At a meeting on January the 10th, the then Health Secretary Matt Hancock wrote in a leaked WhatsApp message that the police had been given their marching orders to strictly enforce lockdown measures. Isn't that incredible, by the way? Not that police were given their marching orders, but that Matt Bloomin' Hancock was our health secretary.
Yes.
We're lucky to be alive. That empty-headed shop window dummy was the man in charge of the nation's health at the most dangerous time for the health of the nation since the Second World War. In a message seen by the Telegraph, the Health Secretary wrote, "The PM is in very good shape in that meeting. The rest of it was excellent and clear, and the plod got their marching orders." The PM was in very good shape? What, spherical, you mean? He was in good shape for a football, not so much a human being. The newly released photograph contained in a report by the Commons Privileges Committee shows at least a dozen people in the room, as well as Mr. Blobby Johnson. Plastic cups are dotted around the table, along with a hand sanitizer dispenser, which they planned on drinking from if the runner didn't get back from the off-licence by the time they'd polished off the beer. The committee's report also includes 2 new photographs taken at an event on November the 13th, 2020, believed to have been held to celebrate the departure of Lee Kane as Director of Communications.
Bye-bye,
they said. There's no social distancing, and the ex-Prime Minister stood alongside a table filled with drink and food. The report also includes 2 pictures, one of which is new, from June the 19th, 2020 gathering, which was held to celebrate Blobby Johnson's birthday. Mr. Johnson was snapped with his top off, covered in luminous paint, chugging from a bottle of champagne with a glow stick around his neck and throwing shapes to a PowerPoint presentation. Just an ordinary business meeting. I made that up, that didn't happen, or, as Boris Johnson would say, everything I said was totally true, despite the evidence to the contrary that was recorded by my own actual official photographer, Abbot.
I can't comment on that.
Honestly, it's one of the most shocking things about all this, not that they did what they were telling us not to do, but that they were so stupid as to have a paid-for photographer recording them doing it. I mean, I don't know who it paints in a worse light. Them for being so daft as to do it, or us for being so daft as to have voted for them in the first place. And while they were having a party, they were getting heavy with us poor dopes who pay taxes, who were meeting on a park bench for a chat with a friend. Guilty! In August 2020, after Simon Case, the then Permanent Secretary of the Cabinet Office, asked the Health Secretary who is actually delivering enforcement, Hancock replied, quotes, "I think we're going to have to get heavy with the police." And Case said, I think we have a round table with Priti Patel, the then Home Secretary, cops and the PM this coming week on COVID enforcement. Are you coming? And Hancock, who would not normally have a role in law enforcement, said he was very keen to attend. Very keen. Can't wait. Let's start dishing out the punishment. And the messages show that Mr. Blobby, Bodger Johnson, took the decision to create a Tier 4 level alert, effectively cancelling Christmas. For us lot. While a lockdown party was taking place at the same time in the same building. The event saw officials drink excessively and spill wine on the walls of the press office, have sex in the basement, rip down the curtains to make togas, call up some girls from the typing pool, and chop up half the stuff that Border Force had confiscated coming in from Peru. I made some of that up, but not all of it. Either way, what a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Wandsworth. Hello, Dorian.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
No.
Well, yeah, I was interested in the ancient world.
The ancient world? OK, well, give us a call when you get back, all right? Yeah, I'm just getting... I just got a gut feeling, that's all. Always go with your gut feeling. It was a phone call from the ancient world. The line was pretty clear. Bradford. Hello, Graham.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Graham.
Yeah, well, I rang up about turnips, but can I just say I've got a taste for alcohol, and I buy whatever the curd shop sells cheap.
Yes, whatever's on sale, yes.
Whatever's on sale, because there's always an end of line. And at the moment, I'm on Quint's Polish vodka, very nice.
Now, here's another TV show I didn't watch, but I am aware of it. This season, I'm mostly wearing Gianni Versace. That bloke. So, it's Quint's Polish vodka. I think that's what he said. Let's not go back and ask for further details, though. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm getting a signal.
Warning, warning.
I'm going to go with my gut instincts. How's that sound? Hanger Lane. Hello, Chris.
Oh, hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. I'm a listener with material.
Oh, no.
Is that all right? I think you might... It's a balloon-related joke.
A joke?
Yeah. And it's kind of tenuously related to balloons, so I thought I might try and make you laugh, seeing as you make me laugh on a regular basis.
Now, how long? Is it just a setup and a punchline, or is it involved?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
No, it's really quick.
All right. Now, don't say the punchline. Just give me the setup.
All right. Oh, well, no, it's like a... Well, I'll just tell you the joke.
No. Don't say the punchline just yet. Just do the setup.
All right. Actually, you might know it, but some people won't.
Yeah.
There's an inflatable boy who goes to an inflatable school with an inflatable headmaster. An inflatable headmaster calls the inflatable boy into his inflatable office, and he says, listen here, Sonny, it's come to my attention that you brought a drawing pin into school today. And the inflatable boy said, yeah, I'm really sorry, sir. And the headmaster says...
You know what? I don't know, and I'm going to prevent you from saying it, because we don't do jokes. Tell my glamorous assistant, and then he can write it down, and I'll think about saying it later. There you go. Let's talk to Mike in Perth. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Nick, could I totally disagree with you? Richard, he doesn't know the facts. Do you know why she was able to? He's accusing Border Force. Do you know why she was able to go? She stole her sister's passport. So that informs you as well. So there you are, Richard.
Well, I think that doesn't really it doesn't really let Border Force off the hook if she went through passport control with a passport that wasn't hers.
No, you're still trying. You're still trying to take this poor innocent girl. It wasn't her fault. Listen, that girl was a straight-A student, very intelligent. She knew before she went there that ISIS beheaded innocent people, that they burnt alive. Human beings were burnt alive. People were thrown off high buildings. Homosexuals were thrown off high buildings to their death. She knew all that sort of... She knew that. Was it not a case that she wanted to be part of that? This poor innocent... You know, she knew these facts. And could also, please, while I'm on a roll, could I just also add, you seem to be advocating, or maybe you're just asking us if we think it, but that this 15-year-old girl, when she left, she should be brought back now. She was only 15. God help us. But anyway, Nick, should be brought back. There are pensions. I'm 75. I struggle a bit, not too bad, but there are many pensioners in this country. I'm going to bring it this point of view. Struggle to put 3 meals. She'll be brought back. She'll get 3 square meals a day. She'll get accommodation. She won't have to worry about anything like that. Cost of living crisis, energy.
Do you mean in prison?
In prison.
Right.
In prison. There are murderers in there who just sit back, put their feet up, 3 square meals a day. They accept it. Yeah.
You can't paint prison as being like some sort of holiday camp.
It'll be a lot better than where she is just now.
Well, perhaps.
So let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. Let's just make her camp out there. Make that her punishment. Then make that her punishment. If she's going to be punished, why shouldn't she just stay there? And let's make that her punishment.
But for how long? I mean, how long does the punishment last?
Forever and ever, amen.
Right. So she should be punished for life for something that she decided to do at 15.
You just think about these poor people who were. It just makes my blood boil when I think about.
Yes, but there's children.
Makes my blood boil when I think about.
I understand. I feel that, but there's children who actually commit murder who don't get put in prison for life.
Yeah. Well, that's. We're talking about Shamina Begum. We're not talking about other children.
Well, no, we're talking about someone who hasn't actually committed murder, but children who do commit murder.
How do you know that? You don't know that.
All right, but she has not been convicted of murder. But there are children who have been convicted of murder who stay in prison for I can't remember exactly how long. I mean, there's some famous cases. And it's until they're in their 20s, perhaps, like 10 years or something like that. But you think that it's so serious that somebody who has not been actually convicted of murder should be punished for the rest of her life? Okay. Durham. Hello, Margaret.
Hello.
Margaret.
Hi.
Margaret.
Well, what can I say? What can I say about all of this? All I can say is, do I envy the rich? No.
Margaret, you're going to have to turn your radio down because I think it'll slow your brain down. I know it will mine.
Okay.
We'll hear what we said 7 seconds ago.
Do I envy the rich? Yes, I do. To a point.
I don't think you've turned your radio down, Margaret.
It's gone. It's gone. Is that all right now?
There it is. Yes.
Okay. The division, the difference between the rich and the poor, and not just money, in attitudes, is just incredible. The division in our country now is it's appalling.
Yeah, I think that your radio hasn't been turned down, Margaret. I'm going to have to leave you there, but I think that the division between the rich and the poor is getting wider. There doesn't seem to be any doubt about that. And while and the future looks as though it's going to continue in that vein, principally because much more money is being spent on private children's education than public students' education. And so the difference that exists is going to be exacerbated. There doesn't seem to be any way around it. Bermondsey. Hello, Lavinia Grace.
Oh, hi, Nick. Hi. It's lovely to hear your voice again.
And yours.
It really is. Thank you. What I'd like to say about the elderly people, or ageism, as we seem to say over in this country, okay, we need to have more respect for the elders. But I tell you what I've noticed, like in Spain abroad, anywhere abroad, they seem to hold them high, full of respect, the elders abroad. But over here, we don't. But that other caller that just said a lot of them for the scrap heap, well, I would disagree with that. And I'll tell you why, Nick. I'm nearly 70, okay? And I don't feel 70. And I'll tell you why I don't feel 70. Because I am full of wisdom and also knowledge and your knowledge is power, okay? And you don't get wisdom and knowledge through a textbook or even going on a going on a computer, right?
No,
now,
that's
I'll
true.
tell you another thing. Now, you need to know this, and all your listeners need to know this. What we need is to take on elder people because they've experienced life. And if we get a crisis, them elderly people will be on the front line. But the younger people will just like curl up and die.
Well,
Because I'll tell you why.
they'll be faffing around wondering what to do, and older people will be showing them the way. Yeah. Thanks for that, Lavinia Grace. I have to go because I'm running out of time. Have you heard about the balloon boy that went to the balloon school and went to the balloon head teacher? The balloon head teacher wanted to see him because he brought a pin into... Oh, unfortunately, we've run out of time on this show. So sad. Oh, well. Never mind. We'll never know now.
This is UK Grim, put in the bin. This is UK Grim, put in the bin. This is UK Grim, put in the bin. This is UK Grim, put in the fucking bin.